Good evening, Paul Z coming to you from my garage in Texas. Today I have the pleasure of having a wonderful cameraman, my son, so this is a little easier. But anyways, I wanted to tell you all about my maiden of the Aerofoam T-45 Goshawk. I had 5 flights on it, and as you see, she is all in one piece. Everything works beautifully, and it is an amazing model to fly. Here are some of the first impressions. I wanted to tell you about where I ended up with all my settings. And just after the 5 first flights, I'm sure I'll be tweaking some more. But here's where we are. So let's look inside. First of all, I upgraded the motor. As I was telling all of you, I am now using the JetFan with a Hacker 780 kV motor. This is a 110 millimeter fan. It's heavier, so I ended up having to move the batteries a little forward. I have the main flight batteries, as you see, they're about a 3/4 of an inch from that edge here to forward to reach CG, and the avionics batteries are way up in the nose. I thought they would end up here with my previous motor, so that's why I have that pad here, but they ended up in the nose, and this works out great. I don't have to move, well, it gave me room to move these a little forward, so it's a little heavier. After the flights, I ended up a little bit ahead of Book CG. Book was 178 millimeters. I'm probably like at 170, 172, somewhere in that range. Hard to tell exactly, but I'm a little forward. It would give me a little better landing performance. All right, you see here also how I position the ESC. It gives a good cooling. I had no temperature issues. And the thrust to weight ratio. So let's talk about that. I was worried about that a lot, to be honest. And you will see the maiden video was unfortunately done with a cell phone. So apologies for the quality there. I'll just show the takeoff and the landing. But some of the comments from my friends, I was really worried about the thrust because this plane weighs 17.6 pounds. That's configured like this. And I'm getting about 15, a little bit less than 15 from the JetFan. And it's because it's not breathing enough, right? So there's the FSA on the inputs and the cheater hole, as well as the, the fairly narrow outlet all cause this to lose thrust. So it's not getting the 18 pounds that it should be getting of thrust. It's getting about 15, which is normal. In the airplane, you always have a little bit less thrust. However, for this model, it turns out to be enough. I had beautiful verticals, short takeoff, so I highly recommend this power system for this model. I don't know about other 105s. I was trying to use the HSD 105 millimeter, and with about 13 pounds of thrust, I was worried. This one, I'm getting 15 with the airplane closed, static thrust. Can't measure it in the air. Anyway, so I told you about CG, I told you about power. Let's look at rates and where I ended up. So, very close to Book, actually. Let's start with ailerons. If you can see this, I am at about 20 millimeters for the aileron deployment. I like the roll rate. It's nice and scale. Let's look at flaps. So those should be Book or close to. I'm like 19, 18 millimeters on takeoff flaps. And let's see, 40 for landing. And this works really great. The leading edge slats are a little bit less than Book because I couldn't mix that in. So for takeoff, I have about 6 millimeters on takeoff. And on the landing position, I'm in about 11, 12 millimeters. So these could use to be a little bit lower. And I have to say that these leading edge slats, use them. They make a huge difference. The plane has so much more lift with these things deployed. I didn't realize a model could do that. So very useful addition here. Let's look at elevator. This was a little interesting. So I recommend to not put any expo on the elevator. I was getting some very strange non-linear performance, which caused me to actually not have the greatest landing. You'll see on Maiden, it bounced the airplane. I couldn't get the nose up, and I was pulling on the elevator, pulling, and then the plane just jumps up. So I turned off, I have expo at 0, and it really improved the linearity of how the airplane responds, especially at lower speed. So let's look at travel. I am at about 25 millimeters on down, similar up, and that's, it could go a little further, but that's all I needed. Even recovering from high verticals and nose dives, this was perfect. And of course, at low speed during the landing, enough travel. So works great. I like the full elevator deflection. Some of you have asked about the batteries I flew with. So I'm using HRB 6000s. They're the 50C, and I have some 60Cs. I didn't see much difference there, but I'm getting 4-minute flight times. And that's it lands at 3.8 volts per cell after 4 minutes. So quite pleased with that. There's plenty of room for bigger batteries. I might try 7000s, but on the 6000s, I'm getting 4 minutes with quite a bit of throttle on this setup. So everything works really well. The gear, everything is really, I'm very pleased. It's a really well-flying model, very well behaved, no bad habits, slows down. She rocks a little bit when she slows down, telling you, hey, I'm getting slow, so works great. I have a gyro in here that I haven't tuned yet, so I'll share gyro rates at a later date. I'm using a Spectrum gyro. I haven't flown with it yet, with it turned on yet, so flew without a gyro. It wasn't a very windy day, maybe 10-mile-an-hour winds, and the plane behaved really well. So very pleased with it. Highly recommend it. It was a great project. A little bit of work to make the mods, as I explained in the previous video, but really well worth it. And with this power system, I'm very pleased. So thank you. See you all for the next review. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see what happens.
Piece of cake.
You got this. All right.
Acceleration.
Didn't look like it was lacking power. You know, the video in the air, I think we There you go.
Braking.
My brakes are a little weak, so she'll roll off. I see now. Okay. All right.
Good job.
Say, it's
I
one
know what
piece.
to do.
You know what to